you having dealt with these reports as much as any of us have, that they're full of nothing but hearsay on most occasions. And the reason why I have worked so hard to keep FBI reports totally secret is because they have little or no probative weight, because they are hearsay. And the way the FBI does their interviews, they walk up to person A and they say, will you speak to us? And the guarantee is anonymity. That's what the FBI tells the person. And then they speak. The FBI speaks to the person. Now, for us to summarily go back and say, as a matter of policy, that we are going to break the commitment the federal government makes to an individual in order to get that individual to cooperate in an investigation is disastrous.
Well, that's precisely my point, Senator. You just made the best argument in the world against why this is the most unfair process to Judge Thomas we've ever had. But if you listened in that meeting, I said, yes, in the future, let's abide by that rule. There's a very good reason for it, but we have to be able to use it here because there has to be some evidence of motivation. And I told you at the beginning of this hearing I was going to use it because there are inconsistencies with Professor Hill's testimony and statements. Now, let's be fair. I mean, these are not hearsay statements. These are statements made by her. But let me back it up further with the statement she made to the press, because it says the same thing, basically.
Precisely. Why don't you ask from that? Ask from the FBI report without suggestion.
Senator, listen. I refuse to accept a process where someone on this committee releases her statement and materials from the FBI report for all the world to see and the newspapers to print and the media to show that are tremendously damaging to the judge because they've been brought up in open forum that had to occur because somebody in a sleazy way broke the rules.
Senator.
No, wait, let me just finish.
I'm going to let you finish, and then I'm going to cut you off real quick.
Well, if you think you're going to cut me off, I think you're wrong. I'm going to listen to you, and I'm going to pay attention to you as chairman. But let me just finish. And this is all I'm going to say about it, and I won't read any more from that particular report. But I am going to read from the newspaper. But let me tell you something. This never had to occur. If the senator, if whoever did this was honest, they could have brought this up before the vote. We could have decided this matter. We could have determined to have executive session hearings, and you know that, and you would have done it. I don't find any fault with you, and I don't find fault with you feeling this way now, but I felt this way from the beginning, and I know you did. But those are fair comments. These matters have been leaked. I don't know that people out there don't have every aspect of the report, and I think some of them probably do, and others. And to prevent me from bringing this up when it's an important point at the last minute of this, I think would be a travesty under these circumstances. I have never leaked an FBI report.
You just did, Senator.
Oh, no, I didn't. Oh, no, I didn't. I used an FBI report under very fair circumstances, and they couldn't be more fair. Like I say, this is not some insignificant appointment. This is one of the most important appointments in our country. And this is not the Soviet Union. This is the United States of America. And let me tell you something. Well, I didn't mean it quite that way. Let me go on. I won't...
Senator...
You go ahead. You go ahead. I'll listen to you. But if I can, I'd like to go ahead.
No one has worked harder or has been more diligent in the 19 years I've been in the Senate about keeping confidential anything that was sent to me as confidential when I was on the Intelligence Committee or FBI reports here. No one on this committee has been more damaged by the leak, by an unethical person, than me. I fully understand.
I agree.
But to turn around now and to decide that because somebody was unethical about releasing not an FBI report, not an affidavit, but a memorandum from a woman who asked it to be confidential, and suggesting that from that point on it means that anything that appears in an FBI report, including in the FBI report on matters had to do with Mr. Thomas or any of the witnesses who were spoken to, is inappropriate. Now, I sincerely hope we won't go through this again.
Well,
Mr. Chairman,
I'd like the time shut out.
Mr. Chairman, let me say a word, because I agree with what you just said. I also agree that this is most unfair, and I think the senator from Utah has pointed that out. I think a number of us have pointed that out, even members who have already taken a position in opposition to Judge Thomas, that this thing is unfair because of the unauthorized leak. And but I do not believe that the old saying, two wrongs make a right. To do it again, I think, is improper. And the only thing that I differ with you, Mr. Chairman, in your statement, is that no one has been hurt more than you on unauthorized leak. Because I take exception. I know, I understand. I just take exception to that personally. I can agree.
Whether or not, Mr. Chairman, it's irrelevant whether I was. Let me just make this point. If we begin to read from FBI reports the ability of the FBI to conduct further investigations with witnesses, will come to a screeching halt.
Well, Mr. Chairman, let me just...
Mr. Chairman, may I just say,
yes,
I think we have done that already. To say that we haven't done that here, I think more than several of us, particularly with Ms. Hill, have referred continually. The record is full of references to her FBI report as comparing it with her second version with more explicit sexual material, to her third version with ever more vivid sexual material, and we have used that several times. Various members of this committee have done it. And I'm ready to go, I'm ready to do what you suggest. I think it's absolutely important that in the future, and I do agree with you, and I don't know, I would concur with what you're doing, and I support that, but I don't remember, perhaps Senator Hatch was not present, but it is a difficult thing. We've injected this entire record with quotes from FBI reports, not the report, a paragraph, a sentence. I've heard it now for 3 days.
Everybody has. Now, if I could...
I yield to the senator from South Carolina.
Mr. Chairman, how would you just eliminate the words FBI from the report and let him go ahead?
Well... Let me say this. Let me say this, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I said at the beginning when I raised my voice at the beginning of these hearings, that now that the FBI report has been leaked, it's not fair for the media to have it and not the general public. On the other hand, I agree with your statement. It should never have been leaked.
Senator, do you have evidence that the press has the FBI report? You keep saying that. Do you have evidence that the press or anybody, is there any place it's been printed? Is there any place it's been quoted from?
Senator, why don't you let me finish my statement? If you just let me do that, I respect you as chairman. I've stood up for you as chairman. I said this hasn't been your fault. It hasn't been your doing, and I believe it. Now, and I believe what you're saying is true now, and I hope in the future nobody will leak any of these reports or use them in any untoward manner.
Just take